In June 2026, North Korea made an announcement clarifying exactly where its weapons program is heading. Kim Jong Un visited a newly built production facility and stated his goal outright. He plans to build nuclear weapons at an exponential rate. For decades, international watchdogs focused on tracking established sites like the main nuclear complex at Yongbyon, but this new facility is an undisclosed uranium enrichment plant, indicating that North Korea is running multiple parallel production sites simultaneously. Along with the new plant came a specific policy update. The regime announced that its status as a nuclear-armed state is now an invariable stand. They are stating clearly that they will never negotiate away their weapons. For 30 years, global strategy was built on the assumption that North Korea's nuclear program could be frozen or reversed through pressure. Kim's 2026 expansion marks a point where the regime has stopped pretending to entertain that possibility. This chart plots the estimated growth of North Korea's nuclear stockpile. Non-governmental experts calculate they have enough material for about 90 warheads, with roughly 50 assembled right now. But if they maintain this pace, projections show that number will surge to 290 warheads by 2035. And they are building delivery systems to match that volume. Their latest intercontinental ballistic missile, the Hwasong-20, has a range exceeding 15,000 kilometers. That puts the entire continental United States within striking distance. Even more concerning, the Hwasong-20 is MIRV-capable. That means a single missile can carry multiple independent warheads that detach in space and strike entirely different targets at the same time, making interception incredibly difficult. At the same time, they are mass-producing tactical nuclear weapons. These are smaller, battlefield-ready explosives designed to be used regionally against South Korea without necessarily triggering a global nuclear exchange. This combination of short-range tactical nukes and long-range ICBMs gives the regime a multi-layered strike capability. Faced with an arsenal of this sophistication, the international community has to reevaluate the actual utility of its remaining options. The first, most traditional lever is diplomacy. For years, the goal was to get North Korea to the table and offer economic aid or lifted sanctions in exchange for disarmament. But the spectacular collapse of the 2019 Hanoi summit effectively killed that approach. The U.S. refused to lift sanctions without total denuclearization, and the talks fell apart. Kim Jong Un's refusal to disarm is tied directly to his own survival. He watched Libya's Muammar Gaddafi give up his nuclear program, only to be overthrown. He saw Saddam Hussein invaded and executed when he lacked weapons of mass destruction. To Kim, the arsenal is his life insurance policy. Now, his baseline demand for entering any negotiation is that the United States must formally recognize North Korea as a legitimate nuclear state, exactly the way the world eventually accepted India and Pakistan. Because the regime views surrendering its weapons as a literal suicide pact, returning to the negotiating table to talk about denuclearization is a dead end. If you can't talk them down, the next logical option is to freeze them out. The UN has imposed some of the tightest economic sanctions in history on North Korea to starve the weapons program of funding. The problem is, North Korea found a way to bypass the physical blockade using digital theft. Hackers tied to the regime have stolen over $3 billion in cryptocurrency, funneling that wealth straight into missile development. But the final blow to the sanctions regime came in 2026, when North Korea forged a deep military and economic partnership with Russian President Vladimir Putin. During the war in Ukraine, Kim supplied Russia with troops and massive amounts of artillery ammunition. In exchange, North Korea received advanced military technology, satellite assistance, and an open backdoor to global trade. By tying itself to a global superpower, North Korea has built a parallel economy. The sanctions are still on the books, but they are no longer an effective weapon. That leaves the most extreme option, a preemptive military strike to physically destroy the nuclear facilities before they can produce more weapons. The geography of the Korean peninsula makes this virtually impossible. Seoul is a city of 10 million people, and it sits just 60 kilometers from the North Korean border. Any preemptive strike by the US or its allies would trigger an immediate retaliation. Long before a nuclear missile is even armed, North Korea would launch a massive conventional artillery barrage that could level the South Korean capital in hours. On top of that, you can't guarantee you'd hit everything. North Korea has built vast networks of underground bunkers. Their missiles are mounted on road-mobile launchers and constantly move through dense forests. They are even developing submarines to launch missiles from underwater. You cannot wipe out an arsenal you can't find, and the resulting human cost in South Korea makes the military option completely off the table. The levers of the past 30 years are now exhausted. Diplomatic treaties have collapsed, sanctions are being bypassed, and a military intervention carries a human cost that no administration is willing to pay. This map highlights the 9 nations that currently control nearly 10,000 nuclear warheads. North Korea's unchecked expansion is happening while the global stockpile of deployable nuclear weapons is increasing for the 9th consecutive year. The system built after World War II to prevent the spread of these weapons is fracturing under the weight of these new alliances. We have spent decades trying to figure out how to disarm North Korea. That window is now closed. The world faces a much colder calculation: learning how to deter a fully armed North Korea in a permanent, fragile standoff.